Okay, I didn't know I was going to do a video today. I didn't think I was going to. It is a horribly rainy, hot, sticky, gross day here in Costa Rica, in Tamarindo. It's usually this time of the year. It's usually bright sunshine and maybe an afternoon sprinkle. Not anymore. Now we have Copay weather where it's raining frequently, or it's just gross and muggy. So many things went down yesterday. I wasn't going to do a video today. I was going to take the day off and do something else entirely, but it's just gone so crazy that I have to sound off on some of these things. Okay, if you don't know who I am, I'm Suzanne Titkemeyer. Thank you for being here. I used to work for Pathos doing a daily column called No Longer Quivering. Been involved in the Quiverful movement and various parts of the fungagelical world, toxic religion. Please do what Riddell Smith says. Investigate what I'm saying, make your own conclusions. These are just my opinions. Don't bully or harass anybody I'm talking about. Don't even be rude. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to be rude to all these people. So from there, I'm just going to jump right in. And I don't know if the chat is working. Very likely not. Let's see what's going on here. No. Anyway, so much has gone down. And I think for me, the most shocking thing was this morning getting up and discovering that Julie Gagne is dead. Now, you may not know who Julie Gagne is. Let me explain to you who she is and why it was shocking. About not even a year ago, Roadhog did an interview with her, a lengthy interview. He did a video with her. She was telling a story. No one had ever heard of her before. She was telling a story that she had been in a cyber relationship with Katie Joy's husband, Todd Paulson. I listened to him interviewing her and her claims that they were in this cyber relationship and her claims that he tried to take it from cyber to real life. And I listened to that and I thought at the time, I thought, something just does not sound right about this. And I told several people after the interview, I said, I'm pretty sure she's lying. And that was one of those things I didn't really want to say because a lot of us want to believe the worst about Todd. I know that I have to check my confirmation bias at the door a lot of times with him because he's not Katie Joy. I'm just going to come out and say that. And I didn't believe at all from what I knew of Katie and him that he was cheating. I still don't believe it. And I never did then. And I was joined by others eventually who saw that she was lying and said her story wasn't credible. So her uncredible story just went on and on. Let me see something here. I got to make sure that I'm actually showing up on YouTube. Going back in this other way, see, live now. Yep. It's not showing up as. So about, Julie Gagne, I never wished her the bad. I mean, I do not for the life of me understand why you would tell that tale, why you would try to claim that you and Todd were having one of those types of relationships, because I didn't see it then. I don't see it now. I just don't. It just looks like this was completely fictitious, cooked up for clicks and coins. But I don't know if Roadhog actually saw that she was not exactly 100% honest. I think eventually he did move away from that. I don't know. But Julie Gagne was kind of a sad and pathetic figure. After everybody said, no, we don't believe your story, and this is why. And several people questioned her hard, including AZ T-Spiracy, who interviewed her and really just hammered on her. So nobody believed her, except for a handful of people who were desperate to believe anything awful about Todd. Like I said, we all have that tendency sometimes. And she was kind of the laughing stock. She disappeared and came back as Lexi Blake. Befriended a lot of us, befriended myself as Lexi. We caught her as Lexi, several of us, and just very quietly blocked her. Now, I don't wish her ill, but she was giving all these interviews. She was saying all this stuff about she had this, she had that. So if those things were actually true, she would be sick enough to keel over in her 40s like this. I feel bad for her family. And I also feel what I really feel about this, and I think that this is something we all need to think about. She spent the last year of her life enmeshed in this drama, propping up a lie. I mean, an obvious lie. The last year of her life. That just breaks my heart for her in so many ways. She just missed a lot of stuff. She could have been spending time with her kids, doing all kinds of other things besides hanging around the internet, telling tales about who she'd had a relationship with. Okay, so Julie, rest in peace, wherever you are. Didn't care for her in life, but it just breaks my heart to think that she spent a full year doing this nonsense. Wasted her last year of her life on silliness. Okay, yesterday also, one of the things that happened was that KJ posted a video, not a video, she posted a bunch of claims that someone had hacked her Instagram and turned her account to a memorial account. A lot of people did a lot of research. I was one of them. I did some research too on that. And what everybody concurred is you have to have a death certificate or an obit in order to see somebody's Instagram and turn it to a memorial. Many people are speculating that this is just Katie Joy again trying to get attention, trying to deflect during a lawsuit. And I have to say, based upon what everybody's saying and the documents and proving that, you know, things weren't quite what she was claiming, I have to say I would not doubt it. I would not doubt one bit that she or somebody in her employ, I'm just going to say, turned her account to memorial. People are saying that she did it to hide things from the lawsuit. I don't think so. I think this was just a grand grab for attention. So don't give her any for this. Just put her on instant ignore. The other thing that's still silly is Backwoods Barbie did another video today claiming yet again that KJ is Nat. No way. She's posted a ton of videos, not KJ, but Nat has some with her voice, but there were a few that were of her face and her voice at the same time. There are a lot of us that have been in this community for a long time that had heard and seen her enough to know that she's not KJ. Now, she may be employed by KJ in some form or capacity. There's no telling about that, but they aren't the same person. Sadly, Backwoods Barbie is just stuck on this thing, and I don't quite understand it. Because she was around for this entire thing. So somebody asked me yesterday, a newer subscriber, why we're all so obsessed with Without a Box of Kleenex, KJ, as I like to call her, Without a Box of Kleenex. And I had to explain that for me, it was when she started stealing my content and using it on her channel and claiming it was from exclusive sources. That for me was kind of the end of any hope of ever talking to her, ever getting any friendship. That was the thing that flipped me to talking to Steve McRae. Steve reached out to me, was quite nice to me. So I'm going to give a little tiny breakdown of everything that's happened, the road so far. Not everything, but enough so that those people who are new can kind of see where we're coming from in this whole thing, because it is a kind of weird. I don't know how to put it other than to say it was just a weird situation. So apparently Katie Joy came out of the mommy blogs. She used to do a mommy blog, and she got run out of that community. She started doing her own blog on her son's medical difficulties, and I have no problem with that. You want to talk about that? Great. There are a lot of people that are struggling with the health of their children. Her and I talked about that many times because I had a child that had been deathly ill when she was younger. And it's just hard. The whole thing with feeding tubes, medications, trying to keep your child from falling down, bonking their head and having a brain bleed. It is what it is. And I read through her blog and thought it was pretty good. You know, ideas about dealing without God, without any kind of belief. That was what she was hired over at Pathos to do. Of course, I knew nothing about the mommy blogger things at that time, that she burned through them. I had no idea. That was complete and utter surprise to me. So her and I were sort of kind of friendly off and on from the time she first came on at Pathos until May of 2020, where she stood me up for a live stream. And Steve McRae reached out to me and showed me that she was plagiarizing from me as well, and that he was dealing with her. And I decided that her standing me up was the best thing ever, because it revealed to me that she was no friend of mine, that she was actually not an enemy, but I'm just going to say not a friend at all. So that was a huge eye-opening experience for me, and it was actually kind of a painful time, because I thought she and I were friendly, not close friends, but people that you talk to on a regular basis, check on them, see how they're doing, how their child is doing. And that was the end for me. Since that time, since May of 2020, in October of 2020, Tati Westbrook filed a lawsuit against her for defamation of character. The problem with the lawsuit is it was filed in Washington, which is where Tati Westbrook lived. She was claiming that KJ said that her husband had killed his mother and a number of things. At the time, KJ was talking to somebody named Clark Swanson, who was the estranged business partner of Tati and James Westbrook. They sued KJ for defamation, but really what they settled with KJ about was they forced her to tell them that she had gotten information from Clark Swanson. She had to give up Swanson in order to get out of a lawsuit. So that's what she did. She claims she won. I don't think you could win if you're giving up if you are giving up information. There's no win there at all, as far as I'm concerned. So there's that. And at the same time, Todd Chrisley had started making noise about suing her. People were angry at her too for things she said to them. She ran off Carolyn. What was Carolyn? Carolyn Ironwood's. She ran her off by being rude to her. She ran off Sue Elliott, who's a really nice person who had lost a child to cancer. She was ugly to Sue because Sue was telling somebody in chat about her daughter's passing and the cancer. And KJ just went off on her. So it was a long list of people that all have reasons that they dislike KJ. Everybody's reason is different. Now, what happened during the whole Tati Westbrook thing is that Natalie showed up for the first time, Natalie Kinnett, and started stalking various people. She sent hate mail to various and sundry people. I know Charlotte on the web got a lot of grief from her. Somebody signed me up to work as a prostitute. There's all kinds of crazy things that went down then. And after the lawsuit settled, Natalie and KJ did a joint live stream with Kay Baxter. And Kay pretty much just let them say what they will. They accused Steve McRae, Dottie, Aaron EKC, People Suck, and Tina of crimes. They both did. They said they had proof. True Ball of Wax said she had proof. Here we are, more than a year, almost a year later, and there's no proof has emerged at all that any of this ever happened. And now Nat is blaming other people for everything that has happened instead. So Natalie is just a distraction, but she's a big part of this KJ thing because she gave Tati Westbrook's attorney a fake deposition accusing Katie of all sorts of things, which is just wrong. And she got more arrogant, Katie did, once she settled and said that she'd won. Well, she didn't win, she settled. She gave up the information to Tati so that Tati would not sue her in Minnesota courts. So what's happened since then? The road since then is that Steve McRae brought his lawsuit forward. I like to think he's got a good one because he's suing Katie for her involvement with his former partner that took $60,000 and his website and just disappeared. So there's that. So Steve sued. She turned around and sued Steve for the same thing. She and Steve had already been to court over a restraining order that she placed on Steve that she could not prove that she needed it permanently. So the courts kind of threw it out when you got to the end of the TRO period, because you can get a TRO against anybody for anything here in the States, it seems. But at the end of 30 days, you better, it's going to be dismissed. And if you don't have real legitimate evidence, they're not going to extend it. So now you have Steve suing her suing Steve. And Todd Chrisley, she had said from the very beginning that Todd had been using a sex tape to blackmail his daughter. So Todd sued finally. He got tired of all the things she was saying about him, the things she'd said on her Pathos blog, the things she was saying in her Without a Crystal Ball YouTube channel. So he's suing her for defamation of character right now. And it's kind of funny because I think today was the day that he goes to court for his, I think it's tax evasion. Something to do with his taxes. Okay. And so Katie was trying to have the lawsuit dismissed based upon the fact that he is going to court for tax evasion, for his tax situation, whatever that might be. And she tried to say that that invalidates his lawsuit. No such thing. People sue all the time from prison. Jailhouse lawyers are a thing. So Todd has every right to sue her in or out of jail. It's his right. So she's done some things since then. She's drug her feet. She tried to have it dismissed. She's not provided them with things they were asking for. My understanding, I think this is correct, is that they are in the discovery phase and she's not being forthcoming. Just like she hasn't been forthcoming in the discovery phase with Steve McRae either. So after Chrisley filed and said he was going to fund a class action lawsuit, which I don't know if that's even going to happen. It may not. Once all that went down, she sent a bunch of creators, myself included, a very nasty email through her attorney that basically said, if we had any correspondence with her or with Steve McRae, we had to turn it over to her attorney. Okay, it was not a motion in the court. It was just a letter the attorney sent out saying, be prepared to have to cough up all your conversations on social media with Steve McRae. We pretty much mocked her when that happened. We all came out with song parodies, explaining that her lawyer could cram it, ram it, and rotate it. I sent him an email back and said, first of all, I have no conversations with Katie saved because she deleted them all. There's no correspondence between us that you can subpoena. There just doesn't exist. And second of all, I will only turn over my conversations with Steve McRae if there is a motion ordering me to do so in Costa Rican court, not American court, but Costa Rican court where I live. I would comply at that point, but I think they would be highly disappointed because the majority of our conversations have nothing to do with Without a Crystal Ball at all. At all. And the thing that I found really disturbing in the letter is one part of it said they wanted whatever notes towards writing a book I had put together. Well, that's usually something that the courts are not going to order me to turn over. And again, that's a court order thing. That's the thing going on with her that she wanted. And then 7M joined the lawsuits. Joined the lawsuits and filed a bunch more. I'm hearing there's some other ones. They're rumbling that they're coming. I don't know how true that is, but they've been saying that there's at least 2 others that are coming. The 7M lawsuit is interesting because it's not just defamation. And let's face it, Robert Shin and those dancers of 7M are they private individuals. They are not public figures or celebrities. And she's claiming they're celebrities and they're open for criticism and discussion. They can be, but she's going to have to prove that. And that's going to be really hard to prove. One of the things that they're alleging, and I think just listening to Emily D. Baker and Uncivil Law, I think they probably have a really good case on, is tortious interference. Because one of the things that she's done, allegedly, that they're talking about in the lawsuit, is she has contacted the corporations that the 7M dancers have danced for in commercials and things, and claimed all sorts of things about Robert Shin and 7M, including making allegations of sex trafficking. So she lost 7M dancers and Robert Shin money by doing so. She cut off their ability to support themselves based on some spurious rumors. So that one might actually have legs. I'm still to this day not sure why Jessa Duggar has not sued her for tortious interference, or why the Duggars themselves have not taken out a lawsuit against them, because a lot of what she says about the Duggars isn't necessarily true. A lot of it's made up, or she'll take one little niggling fact, one tiny little bit of information, and then speculate on it and run it out to the nth degree. So that's why everybody's angry at her, because she's told lies, she's taken content, she has behaved very poorly. And a lot of people have seen how she is and how she covers certain stories just because she knows that the clicks and coins would be tremendous. I got to admit, I'm quite puzzled why she's not covering Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. I'm not covering it, but that's because I'm not interested in it. I think it's awful that it looks like Amber Heard was abusive to Johnny Depp. So I think it's good in the fact that it's going to highlight the issue of spousal abuse with the man as a victim, because you don't see that much. And that is one of those things that I think is a dirty little secret. There are a lot of men that are abused. A lot of men are abused and they never admit it, because admitting that is, I guess it would feel like you lost your man card or something. So it doesn't get reported very often. And it's just one of those things that should be reported every time. Same as when women are abused or children are abused. And that's one thing I can say about the Quiverful movement, is there's a lot of abuse that's just rife in that particular environment. When you have a group of people with complete control over another group of people, you're going to have some people that are going to abuse that privilege. It's just life. It's just life. So I think it's really good that they're having these discussions, but I'm not interested in watching every jot and tittle of this trial. Let Emily D. Baker do that. She is good at that. She is good at the legal stuff. She breaks it down. If I read a legal document here, I tell people, I say, I'm not a lawyer. I am not a lawyer, and I can't 100% say this is what this means, but it sounds like it. And that's the last bit of the KJ thing I want to talk about, besides the fact that she won't cover the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial when everybody else is exploding because of it. Emily D. Baker has gained almost like 100,000 subscribers like that just by covering the Johnny Depp thing. And I think that's lovely. Emily is a wonderful person. I like how she breaks down cases and that she takes the time to explain it to those of us that don't have legal minds and have zero legal experience. The only thing I know about law is that my lawyer handles everything and I just write the check. That's about it. So she has a real hatred of Emily D. Baker. She has said a number of really nasty things recently about Emily. She's also praised Emily at the same time. It's kind of comical. So I think she's probably stewing over the fact that Emily gained 100,000 subscribers. And then you go back to this thing that happened yesterday with the memorialization of her account. The memorialization is really hard to do. You have to be able to show a death certificate or something. Everybody is saying it's her, and I have to say it fits the pattern of how she seems to handle her life. When she gets in these legal troubles, one of the things that happens is she suddenly starts claiming she's hacked. She won't claim it during normal times, but when she's under pressure, she claims the milkman and his brother and everybody else has hacked her, and that she's having XYZ going on. And when people are reach out in sympathy and are sympathetic over that, it fills her tank. It gives her that narcissistic supply that she wants and needs. Until the next time. The next step, I predict this because I've seen how she acts every time she starts having issues with various people and their legal threats thrown. The next step for her will be to use some crisis of her son's in order to gain sympathy or empathy. I'm predicting another brain surgery or heart surgery or something like that, some kind of big medical something or other that she's going to experience so that she can get more attention. And here's a really sad thing for me about this, even though if she had just stuck to the blogging she did about the issues of raising a child with chronic ailments, if she had stuck to that in writing and on YouTube, she would be very popular, I think, because there aren't that many YouTubers that I've seen, and definitely not that many writers that talk about that subject, that talk about the difficulties. And there are ways to do that without exposing her son's name. They just are. So, and I really don't wish her or Todd or the son ill at all. I just want to see this resolved. I want to see her stop using everybody's content. My end goal is all of that. If she wants to be on YouTube, more power to her, but she should stick in her own wheelhouse with the things she knows and stop trying to be a T channel and trying to conflate every rumor that she has taken off of Reddit as a source. She's no better than the tabloids in there. Unnamed Duggar insiders. I used to always laugh when I read the tabloid articles about the Duggars because it was always an unnamed Duggar insider. Always, 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 always. But even from there, and I said this a couple of months ago, I think, if you're in the writing business or even YouTube and you are somebody that you're investigating things and you're saying things about X, Y, and Z, you usually take notes. I always take notes. I have my notebooks going back from my writings well over 12 or 13 years. And I've got them in a little box. And when this one's done, this one will go in there too. Because when you're writing and you're doing research of things, you should really, 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 really be very careful about sourcing everything. An example was when I first started talking about the new independent fundamentalist Baptist issue of the sex chats that were going on between young men who were over 18 and girls in the 13 to 14 age bracket. I have copies of all those chats. I have copies of so many different documentations and things. I spoke to so many people about it whose children had been abused, and they'd been kicked out of the church. I documented every name, every time I talked to them, what they said, reference documents in my notebook. You have to do that. Why? Because if something comes up like this Todd Chrisley thing, you have to be able to prove where you got your information and your source's name. Now, there are investigative journalists that have gone to jail because they refused to give up a source. And I can understand this, but she's a YouTuber. and a YouTuber with a T channel, not news. She's not dismantling cults. She's not anybody that's had any kind of effect on ATI, IBLP. They were in decline after the allegations that Bill Gothard was grooming girls and taking advantage of them. That is the thing that led to the downfall of the ATI, IBLP, not her. And some websites like Recovering Grace, where they have the stories of his victims. Those are the things that have real impact. The stories of the real victims done in a legitimate way and publicized. That's a cult killer if you want to do that. Not talking about what happened from afar. You kind of have to get down in the mud and talk to everybody and get all the information before you start your piece. As you all well know, I've been talking about writing my book on my time in Quiverful. It's been a very painful journey. And a couple of times I've had to pull out my notebooks from years ago, particularly when I was still at the church and I was taking notes on all the sermons and things. And I've had to do that in order to make the old brain work, because I don't remember everything in the sun. I don't remember everything in the sun with this crap. I'm going to try to put together a comprehensive timeline of the actions that Pitchfork Nation, that's what I started calling the KJ, the anti-KJ group, once Todd Paulson named us that, because I think it's kind of a funny name. And last night, one of the things that I did was I went to a theater production here. We have a little theater kind of production company here that once a year they put on this big fundraiser for the local schools, I think it was, and they do a production. They do a musical. And no, it wasn't Book of Mormon. I would have loved that, but I don't think they'll ever do Book of Mormon. The thing that they did was Beauty and the Beast. And last night while I was watching this, I was watching the sequence where the villagers all have torches and they're going, "Kill the beast." Sometimes the anti-KJ community feels like that. It feels like we're circling the castle with flaming torches and pitchforks to kill the beast. And we may be as wrong-headed at times as those villagers were. So I think it's really important that if we make accusations against her, we really need to have backing evidence. Bobby the Cat did a video comparing parts of my story with Katie's, and it's pretty obvious. She even used my words to describe her leaving her church, and it didn't line up with anything she ever told me. So I know it's a bunch of codswallop. It's just not true at all. And I don't know why she feels the need to do this. Okay, so she's making money, but I think this goes way beyond money. This is one of those things where this, she does this all day. And I don't know if she's sitting at her computer all day doing this stuff, or she's doing like I am and running around with the iPad everywhere. As you should have heard while I was talking, this thing kept going off. No. This thing kept going off. I've got all kinds of messages, it looks like, on Twitter, Facebook. I've got Facebook messages. So I'm talking to people all day long, here and there. I'm getting ready to go in my sewing room because I have a pile of mending to do higher than the tallest building in Tamarindo. And I have projects to work on, one of which is a nice large padded cover for this and a matching one for my laptop, since I'll be traveling in about 3 weeks. So that's kind of a Reader's Digest, very condensed version of the whole Without a Box of Kleenex saga. I do have extensive notes I've been taking over every crazy thing that's happened, every little thing. And it's like every day there's something weird and new and wrong just happening. And that goes right in my notes. It's just crazy. So I've been tracking this and I'm going to put together a timeline. We'll see. We'll see. I hope it's accurate. I got to talk to some various people because I don't have some of the early stuff down. There are people who have been following KJ and knocking heads with her for a long time. I believe Aaron of EKC People Suck came across Katie in the anti-vaccine forums and groups. I think so. When she was at Pathos, she started a whole pile of not Twitter, because I wasn't on Twitter or Instagram then. She started a whole bunch of Facebook groups and she kept adding me as a moderator. Well, I have groups that I moderate and admin for other people. I have a couple of groups of my own. I don't need the extra. So I just kept quietly unjoining and unpinning myself from those things. But she started a pile of groups and it was all to get information to be able to use on her writings at that time. I think she's likely up to the same games now. I can't prove it. So this is just something that I'm thinking. It's just a feeling I have. And yet again, I feel like I have to go wash my mouth out with bleach and soap because I've been talking about her and I hate doing that crap. It's just the worst. So I think I'm going to do a written timeline and I'm going to post it in my community tab because that's the only thing I can think of to do. And I'm just going to warn you, it is lengthy. I might have to do it and upload it as some kind of shared document somewhere. It's just unbelievable. Okay, you guys, chat's not working. And it's kind of weird sitting here talking with zero feedback. I'm not wired that way. So I'll see you guys later. Hopefully this worked. Hopefully that I'm not buffering too bad because I hate to have to repeat all this crap all over again and then upload it. Love you.